listening to the Monica Sanford Show, a podcast where I talk to anyone I want about everything and anything we want to talk about. You're here for another great episode of sharing people's stories and hearing why they do what they do. A variety of topics and guests, and everyone has a story, and I loved helping them share it. I am Monica Sanford, your host today, with my co-host and husband, veteran, retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel David Sanford. We are also joined with a couple other Marines here at the table. Please go back and listen to the first episode. It is on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, like, follow, share all the pages. So again, this is part 2 of a very special episode. We have known this Marine for 20 plus years, 25 years. Go back and hear everything about him. And we left off talking about him hitting rock bottom. And his mom coming to him, his dad has come to him now. So he is at rock bottom, and how that is actually kind of catapulted him into what he does now for so many veterans, so many. You have had, thank you again, Lee, for coming on. And Keith, thank you for sitting with us today. So what is your foundation, AHERO Foundation? And you're going to talk to us about that, talk to us about what you're doing now with your new businesses. You have a ton of businesses. But how did all of that rock bottom kind of translate into, I have to make myself better, make veterans better, make everyone around me better? So talk to us through that transition time.
The realization that the one thing that I continued to do by myself was fail miserably. And just fail all the time and almost take my life, make bad decisions. And looking back on my life, anytime I had whatever success I did have, it was always the people around me. And it was always the group that I associated with. It was not my success. It was the success of the people and really the tribe that I associated with at that time. Those are the only successes I've ever had. I've never had anything successful by myself. I've just failed miserably. And I've made tens of thousands of mistakes and try to learn from them and fail fast. But after realizing that and realizing that I was about to take my own life when I had all these people that would have done anything in the world to help me, I just didn't want to tell them. And I didn't want to bother them. And I didn't want to inconvenience them. And I recently went to a funeral. And this Marine, I'm assuming, was probably going through the same thing. And he didn't want to bother us. He didn't want to bother me. I was just messaging him a couple weeks before that. He didn't want to bother us or his family telling us the medication issues, all the stuff he was going through. Well, the return on investment, if you call me at 3 a.m. in the morning and wake me up, is I get to see you do well with your kids and your wife and everything else. The return on investment, if you want to go grab lunch with me, is I can help you and we can help each other and we can grow and strengthen our village together. I don't get a return on investment if I have to bury you. And this Marine took his life. And instead of calling me at 3 a.m. or calling somebody else or inconveniencing somebody for a couple hours or maybe even a week, there were 200 to 300 people that flew in and drove in for his funeral to bury him. And when I walked in and saw his mother, I was crushed. I knew this Marine, and it was absolutely the same thing I was about to put my family through. And so I didn't want to bother anybody. I didn't want to inconvenience anybody. I was about to have a funeral, whether it be small or large. I was about to inconvenience people from their day to day. And then I would have devastated everybody in my family. So talking to survivors and talking to people who've gone through their loved ones killing themselves, the best way they described it to me is until everyone that was in your life passes away, that trauma and destruction is still in their life. There is still a negative memory, and they remember how you took your life, and they would have done anything in the world to save you. And so really starting the nonprofit, wanting to be transparent, and wanting to be a good leader, and telling them, hey, I have issues. I have relationship problems. I go through financial stuff. I have problems. I'm a Marine officer, but I have stuff.
I love it how you say, I've seen you say this before, is that no one is too far gone.
Absolutely not.
So you are reaching out to tell us what AHERO is. What does it stand for? What does it do? And, the resources, the outreach, the mental health support, things like that. But So no one is too far gone. They come to AHERO and what? So tell us about AHERO.
So AHERO stands for America's Heroes Enjoying Recreation Outdoors. And just after that 2009 event and me almost taking my life, I realized that there were others out there that were struggling too. And I saw and I knew the one thing that helped me was being out in what I consider God's creation and being hunting. And I love deer hunting. I love being out in the woods and being out in solitude with him and having quiet, not the hustle and bustle, not the schedule, but just taking some time, whether it be a couple hours or a day, to disconnect from screen time and reconnect with what matters, which is God for me. I wanted to share that and share that opportunity. And so we opened up our farm. I had Jody Thrasher, who was a Green Beret, made CPA. So ended up being an accountant. And he told me, like, Lee, you're doing a good job, but you're going to go broke. Like, you're funding all this by yourself. You should start a 501c3. And I had no idea what that meant. So he helped me with it. Joe Watley, Kirby Cadell, Master Sergeant McKinney, who ended up being a Master Gunnery Sergeant McKinney, they all helped me. And my community said, we believe in what you want to do. And that team of awesome people came together and made it happen for that first event. And then they showed me what a community could do if you got behind, not saying I support my military, actually doing it with action, not just using it as a catchphrase. And they did. They stopped what they were doing. They donated their property for us to use. They brought food in. All the ladies made like fresh apple pies. It was amazing. Yep. And I
took my daughter and my niece there. And the one I went to, one of the retreats you had hunting, because you do fishing and stuff too. But the hunting one, there were veterans there, limb losses. I mean, they're amputees.
Quadruple amputees. Some missing all of them.
I mean, it was just, and they loved being out there hunting. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just amazing to see.
No judgment. And some of them had never hunted. I remember one of my Marines from that Camp Fallujah deployment, Paul Roeder, he'd never been hunting in his life. He showed up in a leather jacket and blue jeans and said, I brought clothes. Like, we need to get you some hunting clothes, buddy. But I mean, he came in from Maryland and absolutely loved the event and loved being outdoors. But just connecting with people who aren't going to judge you and question anything and just love on you. Yeah. So I saw how effective that was and how people would let their guard down. And that's where we started what I consider screen porch therapy. And that's spending time on the screen porch. And I would start by sharing my story and the things that I'd been through. And then somebody else would open up and somebody else would open up. And you literally watch the weight come off their face. You watch people that show up with a posture that's like, I'm this tough person in this facade, that they're this tough alpha. And you watch them start sharing and having transparent moments with these people. And then by Sunday, they're a completely different person. And through that process, I realized that everybody didn't like to deer hunt. So some people like to fish. And so we tried
the first time I ever tried deer meat, sausage, or whatever
you had. It's very healthy. But so we created this menu of things, honestly, as a carrot to bring people to us. And then at some point we cut out alcohol. We never used donation dollars to purchase alcohol for any of our events ever. But we did allow somebody to drink a few beers as long as it wasn't drinking and hunting. So if they did drink past like 8:30, they couldn't hunt the next morning. So we were very deliberate with the alcohol piece. But at some point, when I realized I was an alcoholic and I realized that these donation dollars, you never need to use donation dollars for that, period. Right. You need to honor the donation dollars. So we never did that in 16 years of existence. But the donors that are donating to you for being there, you need to honor those dollars and make sure that person, when they come in for that event, they have the most clarity for 3 or 4 days to maximize the resources you're educating them on. And if they have a few beers or a few glasses of wine, they might miss something. They might miss a person they could connect with instead of they're focused on an alcoholic drink.
Right.
So we removed that from it after really I went to an event that was run by another group, and everyone was so drunk that weekend. I don't even know if they know they went to an event. Right. And I was sober and I watched this and I watched all these various services get so drunk. It was open bar, all you can drink, and donation dollars were paying for it. And I know donor dollars were covering the cost of this. And the donors don't know that they're paying for these people to get drunk. So let's say I'm an alcoholic, which I am. I'm sober. I love my wife Tamar. I show up for this event and I go there. And now I'm tempted and I fall off the wagon. And I drink throughout that whole weekend. And then I get back home to my wife. She knows I've been drinking. Or what if I message somebody inappropriately? Yeah. and she checks my phone. So I'll leave it at that. I realized we could create an environment for 3 or 4 days that was absolutely healthy, physically, financially, emotionally, and most importantly, spiritually, to give them a daily schedule to live healthy. And obviously they do what they're going to do on Monday.
Yeah.
But if we build this schedule from Thursday to Sunday, this is how I can show you to live healthy and happy, physically, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. There's no alcohol. Some of them hadn't been sober in like 15, 20 years. We've sent people on Sunday and Monday to treatment because by the second day, they realized they had been drinking for like 15 or 20 years. Yeah. And their kids, one of them was 16 and 18 and had a 20-year-old. They met their sober dad for the first time when he came back from treatment. So just that opportunity to really build a nonprofit that wasn't focused on handouts, but was a hand up and was an opportunity to educate them on how they can eat healthier. Get up in the morning and have, if you're not Christian, have reflection time, have journal time. Spend an hour or two building your plan in quiet before you pick up your cell phone and invite the world to scream at you. And a 3-star general that I'm friends with that's just a phenomenal human being. I asked him what his daily schedule was, and he told me he whispers with God every morning, and then he works out for an hour with his wife before he enables the world to yell at him. Nice. I whisper with God before I enable the world to access me and my wife to yell at us.
And you have shown that these veterans love it.
Absolutely.
They love, because they're coming back now for 16 years, the hunting and the, yearly fishing trips out of... We
have a couple, Orange Beach, thanks to Mr. Art Favre at the wharf.
Yeah.
Oh, he's phenomenal. And then our team out of Pensacola, Florida.
Yeah.
So we've got a great team and a great, all the boats are donated thanks to our awesome supporters down there. I mean, we couldn't do anything.
So they love it and they keep coming and
Absolutely.
They keep applying to come, things like that. So none of them are going, well, if I can't drink, I'm not going.
No, they actually, and we had to create a pay it forward program.
Yeah.
So we don't have professional wounded warriors. And when I say professional wounded warriors, they're not going to all these free events because they are fun events.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to go on these big giant boats and fish and hunt and all this other stuff? Yeah. So if you want to come back, we encourage it, but we encourage you to pay it forward by raising awareness, getting on your social media and telling everybody over the next year about what we're doing to help us raise funds because we are a nonprofit and we do rely on that. To go through your mental Rolodex. So some people are too young to know what a Rolodex is, but go through a mental Rolodex and your contacts. Who is somebody in your life that's currently going through something physical, financial, emotional, or spiritual that needs to be at this event? Now that you've been to the event, you know what it's really about.
Yeah.
Who needs to be here? Not for a free fishing trip. And then that's another part of it. And then help us raise $2,500 because it's around $2,000 to $2,500 per event. And so that way, even if they don't meet that mark, they're still helping and they're still going out to churches. For the veterans, if they want to come back for a second
event. Veteran is $2,000
It's about $2,000 to $2,500 depending on the event for the whole weekend. And that covers food, lodging, all that stuff. So what that'll do is that veteran is now a part of a tribe. And those people will go out and educate. They'll look for other veterans that need it.
Right.
Everybody's got their network. They feel like they're a part of this system that's helping their village get better. And they're raising awareness by going to the companies, their church family, their work, whoever.
Is it still in Shorter, Alabama, or where?
It's in Tuskegee. So our actual headquarters is named after Major General Livingston, who's Auburn's only Medal of Honor recipient. And I'm pretty confident he's the most highly living, decorated Marine today.
Oh, wow.
And I said this on a podcast the other day. He is as hard as woodpecker lips. And I tell you that the guy's had 10 back surgeries and still gets up and walks and works out. And he's 86 years old. Oh, wow. And he is one of the most humble human beings I've ever met in my life. He gives all the credit to everybody else and never accepts credit for anything.
Let's see. Have you been to one of his events?
Oh, yes.
Either the fishing or hunting, or what'd you go to?
I went to the hunting back in January.
What did it give you? What? Tell us about it.
Well, let me back up how I got started with AHERO and helping Lee out. So I'm a retired firefighter of 20 years. And, everybody's got a story and they need a purpose.
And you were in the Marine Corps before that.
That's right.
Marine infantry.
So, and me and Lee, as we were driving up here, we was, putting the two together. And not only is AHERO for veterans, it's for first responders. Because and majority of the first responders are, prior
Our
vets.
military,
They're military. Anyway, I retired from the fire department. Started going through some. Go ahead. So I started going through some battles in life. I've always been an optimistic person, and I noticed myself start being depressed. Never didn't reach out to a whole lot of people because I didn't think they would understand, spouse or whatever. So I've been battling that for a while. And then I started having some thoughts about other Marines that we went to, went overseas with, and I started reaching out to them and telling my story, and they would just tell me their story. Like, yeah, I wanted to kill myself. I'm like, you kidding me? So I started reaching out to more and more, and felt like that I'm not alone. But it just kept getting worse and worse. And Lee, now we haven't talked in over 20 years. Since we got back.
2004.
Yeah,
Wow.
2004.
Yeah.
So it's been that long.
22 years.
Yeah. And so
So y'all just reconnected last year.
In
or a
January.
couple of-
January.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So it's been that long. Kept going through some things. I saw something he posted on Facebook.
Yeah, it was soft white underbelly interview.
Yes, it was great. And knowing that, hey, guys, we're not alone. I went through this. And I'm like, my goodness, that's me,
Well, that's very important, and I don't want to skip over that because that you aren't alone, because some feel that they're alone because that makes them look weak or feel weak.
Exactly.
They don't want to say, "Am I not handling this?" But
Right.
There's so many not handling it.
Exactly.
So.
And, you don't know who to reach out to, really. The VA says, hey, call us if the
Right.
crisis line. But, I mean, really, I need someone connected to me
Right.
that went through my experience, So anyway, Lee had that on Facebook, and I'm like, my goodness, that's me. I've got to do something because last year, the first time I ever thought about what life would be if I wasn't here, and it scared the hell out of me. And I knew at that point, hey, I need to reach out. So I messaged Lee. I private messaged him, and again, I've seen AHERO on Facebook for years, and just hey, yeah, that's a good thing he's doing, And finally, I took the courage. I reached out to him, told him my story, thinking that hey, I might not hear back from him, or it might be a week or two, I think it was that same day. He's like, hey, we're having an event in 3 weeks. I want you to be there. I'm like, dude, I don't do a lot of hunting or a lot of fishing. He said, I don't care. Just be there. Just show up.
He eats food. And we had food.
I'm an addict in loving food.
I'm guessing you thought I'm not that bad, really. I just need.
Yes,
right?
I need.
There's
think you
people
were
that
that
have
bad.
it worse than me.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've got all my limbs.
Mhm.
Why
That's
am
right.
I'm just.
The
And I really,
invisible wound
yeah.
thing.
yeah, and I really told him, I said, look, I don't want to take up a shooting house because I'm not a big avid hunter. Let me be behind the scenes. I can help someone else. I can be a supporter. So that was my role when I went to this event the end of January. It was a whitetail hunting trip. I'm in Roval.
Yeah, William Snyder's farm, and that's another supporter that just opened up their 600 acres
Right.
and let us use their place, their beautiful cabin, so we could put this on.
Oh wow.
And I didn't even bring a gun with me. All right, so my goal was not to hunt. I just wanted to eat and talk stories. Let's communicate, So we went there, and little did I know, I mean, everybody had weapons and multiple weapons, and they was like, hey, man, you're not going to the deer stand without a weapon. Here's mine. You're getting up there. Let's kill a deer. I'm like, wow, okay, let's do it, But anyway, sitting there at that event, my goodness, it did so much for my heart. We're sitting there. I get emotional because it's real. It hits my heart. But we're sitting there, and everybody's telling their story, and you think you have a story, and then the next person goes, And they have, there's a guy sitting by me with no legs. I'm like, my story is not that bad compared to what he went through. He lost his wife and kids and
Lost everything.
everything, and just uprooted his life, and
So you feel, did that help you to see somebody's like perspective? Somebody's got it worse, or did it make you like go back within yourself and like kind of feel guilty for feeling this way when you got this guy over here that's
I
got
did,
this?
but I'm like, let me use what I have, what God has given me, and to better serve someone else. The same guy. We luckily was able to share a deer stand all weekend together, and hearing what he went through, and it was just amazing, And
another guy from that event is in treatment now.
Yes,
And we
because of that,
sent him to treatment, and we brought him in. We spent 2 or 3 days with him, and by Sunday, I had him committed to treatment, and he committed to a life of sobriety. And he was an executive making really, really good money, retired out of the military, but was struggling with alcoholism.
Right.
And so he is in treatment to the point of he extended his treatment to where he can ensure that he comes back successful.
So I got a question for both you guys. I use the term crazy, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. Do you find, or do you think that people are less likely to come to you or to ask for help that have all their limbs like us? Maybe they went through something, maybe they didn't, maybe it's hereditary, whatever, as compared to the guy that's maybe lost a limb. He's like, yeah, I need help because, this.
Mobility issues and everything
Right.
else.
So which is like, what do you kind of see as the differences and difficulty in getting people to come in, or what's like, what do you see?
It's usually the families for me that'll say, hey, my loved one's not doing well, but they don't want to get help themselves. And so I get a backstory on them, and I've created absolute events around that person. And then I invited other people to attend that that needed to come as well. And then I brought that Marine because they wouldn't take care of themselves. I said, hey, there's some Marines that are struggling or some soldiers that are struggling. Will you come in and be a mentor and a leader? And they came in under the premise that they were being, which they were Marine leaders, and they came in to be that Marine leader. But by the second or third day, they realized they needed help. And so that second or third day, we're in spending time together. I knew the backstory, and so I was able to work my story in to help them be transparent, and then I got them the help they needed.
So when you were done then with your day, your retreat, your trip that few days, was there just like a weight lifted off of you? Did you see, did you have this clarity now going, Jesus, I'm either
we started talking about the business there.
Well, I did.
Because we're going to get into the business you have now.
That's where it came up, his purpose.
It was more of a purpose, exactly. I knew where I fit in. I knew my direction in life was to, hey, let me, me and Lee have talked about this, is, give me some names where I can reach out on a weekly basis or a monthly basis and just say, hey, man, are you all right? Let's go have lunch or have dinner, For instance, there was a guy that I hadn't talked to in years. He was a police officer. And I just had a dream one night that he's not doing well, and he was going to kill himself. The next day I called him and said, hey, buddy, let's go to lunch, and we did. And I told him that story, and he said that was me when we got back from Iraq, because he went to Iraq with me and Lee.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? And then we started reminiscing about everybody else that was on our unit, and he was telling me that this guy passed away from alcoholism. This guy shot himself. I'm like, my goodness, So it gave me more of a purpose, and that's when I reached out to Lee, and I'm like, hey, get me involved, just whatever I have to do to serve.
So what does that service look like now? You have said now a few times that you started something. What did you start and what do you do?
So we have Hometown Hero Services, which is a service business in Auburn, Alabama and Opelika, Alabama. We do landscaping, soft washing, pressure wash, junk removal, really any service business that helps the Auburn, Opelika area. And then we hire veterans and first responders, and we work closely with the Auburn NROTC program to work with and be mentors for the soon-to-be officers in the Navy and the Marine Corps. And so we've got a great, responsibility, in my opinion, to make sure that they are created to be servant leaders and not out for themselves. And so we've got the soon-to-be lieutenants my core group that I started with, they actually get commissioned on May 3rd. And I was a commission officer for 2 different groups in the last year. And it's awesome to know that we're putting these young men and women to wear the cloth and to fight. And they truly are servant leaders. And we get them around the AHERO program. So they're involved with AHERO. They see the nonprofit. I pay them really well to make some money while they're in school. And it's safe, reliable, and professional is our slogan to take care of people. Safe, reliable, professional. So
they're all veterans.
They're veterans and first responders, and we have the ROTC students working for us as well.
Doing landscaping.
Doing soft washing, taking care of, helping people with their yards, doing junk removal if people want to get rid of stuff. Oh, cool. And we pay them and we spend time with them. And while I'm out there working with them, we talk about leadership. And anytime that we have the general come in, or we have Sergeant Major Bobby Parker with 5 Purple Hearts from Vietnam, wow. When he's over at the house, I bring them out there and they spend time with this guy who is in Vietnam and had 5 Purple Hearts. So the mentor ability to even bring in Maxwell, the E8 and E9 program for the senior enlisted, we bring their program out from Maxwell and they volunteer with the soon-to-be officers, and I team them up together to where they have a volunteer serve day at AHERO and they can spend time with each other. And the enlisted get to say, this is what we want out of our officers. And really being a good servant leader and taking care of it. I'll tell you, I probably should have been fired about 10,000 times as a Marine officer, but my Marines knew I loved them. And my Marines knew, sometimes it was hard love, but they knew I loved them and they took care of me, and they really did. And so it's about being humble, about telling your Marines and sailors or whatever service you're in that you love them and you truly want to be a leader, not a manager or a boss. They don't need you to tell them what your rank is. In corporate America, we're talking about that business. I don't need to know you're the CEO or the owner. I know the position I have and I know the position you have. We just want to be led and cared for and know that we're making a difference when we come to work. And so that's what we're empowering them to do through this and educating them. And then if any of them have any problems, we have the nonprofit that's right there. And they always have a nest to come back to if they ever go through anything. So when they spread out across the country and they go to all these bases across the U.S. and the world, if they're Marine sailors or the different branches, some of them are Army too, and we're going to start working with the Air Force ROTC, if they're going through issues, they know where to send them.
Right.
They know there's a lifeline at AHERO. And President Roberts at Auburn University and his wife, Tracy, are absolutely phenomenal. They're awesome human beings, and they love their veterans and first responders. So they've really embraced AHERO as well as Game Day for Heroes. They get it. They get it. They don't just say, I support my military. They absolutely support. And so to watch Auburn's president and the First Lady of Auburn get behind what we're doing, it's awesome. It's awesome to watch it grow.
So both of you work through your mental health by helping other people.
Absolutely.
Okay, so tell me, if you had to say where you are right now in your mental health journey, we'll start with you, Lee. Where are you compared to, I don't know, let's say 2009?
I am sober, and I put Jesus first before anything, and I am phenomenal. And if it wasn't for my wife, Tamar, who's half German, half South African, born in Jerusalem, write that down. I met her, and when I met her, I told her what I did for a nonprofit, what we did, and our phenomenal board. And I was bragging when I met her about 6 years ago. And she said, well, if you're just saving their physical life, you're wasting your time, and you should do something else because you should be saving their spiritual soul. I was like, ooh, I've never had anybody tell me that. Like, she literally just punched me in the stomach pretty much. So
she's stunning.
She is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, total package.
I outkicked my coverage by about 19 football fields. But she's such a beautiful person.
She's way out of your league.
My favorite thing about her, though, is her faith. Yeah. And she puts Christ before me, and then I'm next. Maybe Napoleon Dynamite, our dog's in there too, but I'm a close second maybe. But it's shown me that you have to do that as well. And I have to put him first and my faith first, and then my wife. As the CEO, I'm the man of the house. I'm the CEO. Yeah. My wife is the COO. She does day-to-day operations. She runs the internal program. I'm the CEO. I run vision. I run strategy. I'm the CEO. And that's how we've structured our life. And we start our day whispering with God before we give the world access. And so I'll say that I'm doing so much better because of my relationship with God and because of my wife, first and foremost. And also, I've never seen a veteran, first responder, or a friend struggling who had strong faith, who wasn't drinking, who worked out, and who had purpose. It doesn't exist.
Do those negative thoughts sneak in there sometime and you have to fight them back?
They do, and I'm crazy enough to where my wife hears me. I say, stop it out loud. And I say, stop it. And I'll tell you one of the things I started doing, Dave, is when I go to bed, I have a lot of activities. And I know I have a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. I have work tomorrow when we get home. So when I lay my head down, I'm thinking about all these businesses and stuff and things I have to get done. I stop, and I'll say stop it, like out loud most of the time. And then I start thanking God for everything that he did for me that day. And I start thanking him for even the mistakes I went through and the issues I had. And thank you for letting me get through that and navigate it and do well to get through that. And I have a conversation with him, and I thank him, and I have gratitude as I'm going to sleep. Your brain is not capable of having gratitude in a conversation with him and worry and anxiety. It's absolutely impossible. And I wake up every morning, and the last person I spoke to when I went to sleep is my creator.
Yeah. And that is literally because I do critical care cardiology in a major hospital, and seeing death and destruction a lot of the time. Some days I will just have to stop, and I will send Dave a text and say, we are so lucky.
Yeah.
It's just, you just stop your brain. Like when you say physically, when you say out loud, stop, you literally have to stop yourself and say, we are so incredibly fortunate and lucky, and just, yes, thank you, God. Thank you for everything positive that went on today.
So, Keith, how about you? Tell us where you are right now on your journey.
Well, I'll tell you this. To be honest, it's a process.
Mm-hmm.
And you say negative, it comes and goes, my thoughts. But that's why you have to have a strong base. That's why I reached out to lead. You've got to surround yourself with good people, not just good people, but godly people. I have slipped in my faith for years, and I've noticed a big difference. Like Lee said, when you go to bed at night and when you wake up, it needs to be talking to the guy.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if you hurt yourself, you're going to piss me off. Because I've sat across you now.
That's right.
From you, and I know you.
Yes.
So don't do it.
That's right. Oh, no.
So need to get to this because we only have a few minutes left, because you have, I know y'all are going to make me like not be able to get through this. But you also do something else. You take all of this you've learned now that you've experienced, and you go and do speaking engagements. So that's even your other business. You have
Legacy USA is what it's called. So
And-
Legacy Speaking Engagements.
Yeah, so you go out and you just spoke at a corporation. So you go to
Williams
big
Natural
corporation,
Gas.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Or yes,
and
ma'am.
go to either motivate them to change their culture or leadership. When you go to speak to somebody, what are you? Is it all faith based, or is it leadership driven, or is it when you go to speak to a corporation? What are you instilling in them?
So my faith is my faith. I definitely don't push or throw Bibles at people, but this is what's gotten me through my struggles, is my faith in Christ, and that's what's made me who I am today. The most important thing for the leadership discussions is having those healthy habits and being a true leader instead of a manager or a boss, and using those principles of good leadership to take care of your people and really make sure that, I was a company commander with 300 people. I worked for them. Those 300 people did not work for me. I didn't know what half of them did for a job. They did so many different things, and they had so many different occupational specialties. I knew that I just was supposed to love them and take care of them and lead them and mentor them.
So is that what you see in corporations then when you go, that they're, I don't want to say they're not taking care of their people, but
They're not.
Yeah. So what I've seen and in my limited time in the last 6 years of being retired and working with a few
Corporate civilian
places,
world.
working
Yeah.
with a few places, is having owners, CEOs, the executive team, kissing up and not taking care of their employees. And so celebrities and focused on celebrity experiences, or focused on other wealthy people and other CEOs, and it's all about wealth and chasing money. And they're not taking care of the people that are their foundation. And so the foundation of any business, they're your employees. And so they're not a means to an end, and they shouldn't be treated like a means to an end for you. They should be treated like the most important people that are in your company. And to have owners and CEOs that say one thing and do another. And a lot of these people will post scripture and are saying, I'm Christian, I'm this and that. And I can promise you, I can put on football pads and a football helmet and sit in my living room and tell you I'm a football player, but I'm just a crazy dude sitting in my living room with football pads on. if I'm not actually doing it and if I'm not executing it and living that life. And so watching that and watching absolute lack of integrity within companies and lying and using people to make more profit. So how do you change that and how do you flip it and take these same people or a group of people and say, okay, what if we just all loved our employees? What if you looked at the janitor who maybe you called a peasant last week, because this one guy probably did? How do you look at that person and say, hey, I love you. Without you, we wouldn't have clean bathrooms. Without you, we would have bacteria.
Your
Without
turnover
you-
goes from 80% to 5%.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the difference.
Right there, like
Because they want to work for you. 'cause
Focus
you
on
care.
every single person and also show them how I want to show you how to get from where you are in life as a janitor or as a starting out employee to being an executive if you want me to show you.
Yeah.
And
just
so
give
if
a
I-
shit and you care.
If I can take a company and I can take their executive team and show them, if you truly pour into your people, Lee Stuckey's going to give you 100% instead of 30% just to do enough to keep you off my back. Because if I know you don't like me and you're just using me to make money and get richer, I'm going to do just enough to keep you away from me, and I'm going to stay away from you because I know who you are pretty quick, and they know. And so if you look at their turnover rate, it's super high. If you look at the lack of leadership, so change it. And if you truly are a person, an owner or CEO who only wants money, if you take care of your employees and you love on them and pour your energy into paying them well, training them well, giving them a plan, giving them goals, giving them standard operating procedures, being proactive instead of reactive with all of your scheduling, you are absolutely going to triple and quadruple your revenue because you're going to have a bunch of people that are going to do all the heavy lifting because you've given them the vision to be successful.
Right. And they
You've
trust
enabled them and they trust you.
Yeah.
And you've shown them, I believe in you or I wouldn't have hired you. Like, why would you hire a management level person and then tell them how to do every single thing? This one person said, don't do anything without asking me every time you do anything.
Oh my God.
Now, imagine if I was a Marine officer, my colonel would have fired me the first week. The reason I was an officer is to execute. And if it was something that would have gotten us in trouble or killed, then I would talk to him. But imagine as a Marine officer, Dave, some boss saying, every time you make a decision, you have to run it through me first so I can say yes or no. Now, why would I even hire you?
Right.
So really just shifting that and saying, okay, how do we become a servant leader and how do we flip that? And if you're making 10 million, 50 million, whatever it is, you will make more money because your people love you, know you love them, and they want to produce.
Yeah. And it's just that culture. It's that culture that
servant leader culture.
Yeah.
So, Lee, I worked 10 years in corporate America, 2 different companies, well, 3. Absolutely hated it. Came home every day, bitched about the management, and this is the issue. This is the 30,000-foot view, and I'll just say, for instance, you take a cashier. You got your best cashier. What do? You put her over or him over all the other cashiers. You don't train her how to be a leader. You don't train her how to be a manager. You show her how to make a schedule. And then you have to fire her 6 months later because she can't, everybody's revolting against her. This is it's all of America, everywhere. Nobody trains anyone to be a leader. They just take, hopefully, the best person that's, the best cashier. And now they put them in a management position. So we fail our managers by not training them how to manage and how to lead other people. And then what do? Well, they have the same management style as the CEO and manager that you're talking about. Why would we expect them to be any different?
Well, and the same kind of scenario for being a Marine officer. I had one colonel I worked for, and these people at this business reminded me of him. I didn't want to go into work, and I'm in my 30s, and I'm sitting in my Dodge Durango in the parking lot at 10 in the morning trying to figure out how to pretend I'm sick because I don't want to. Now, I'm a professional fighter. I've already deployed 3 times into combat, and I don't want to go into work because of a man who's so toxic, and I don't want to get around him. And these people were the same way at this business. I didn't want to get around them because they were so toxic, and I knew they were lying in my face every time they spoke. So I never wanted to go in there and see this guy. And we had a lieutenant colonel that was going to therapy because this guy was so bad. Now, another group of leaders, one of them was a 3-star general who's General Astor, who's the chief of staff of the Marine Corps, now the CEO for Toys for Tots.
Yeah.
He was such a good leader and such an amazing human. He knew I was going through stuff. And when he was at the Pentagon, he drove 7 hours one way. He got me a cup of coffee. He hugged me. He told me how much he loved me. General Alford came over there with him, who's the base commander, who's a 2-star. He told me how much he loved me and appreciated me. And they hugged me and said, we're going to get through this. And I was going through some stuff in life. And they said, we're going to get through this. Just know we love you. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to call us. And General Astor got back in his truck and drove back to the Pentagon as the chief of staff of the Marine Corps.
See, I think that is the main problem, is you being in a culture that had such exceptional leaders.
Unreal.
And then going out to another culture that you see the kind of deficit of leaders. It's
Everyone is
difficult.
dispensable, and they're just stepping on
it's
people.
a challenge.
It was terrible.
It's a challenge to go from great leadership to.
But it was great for me because in a short period of time, I learned like 40 years of what not to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to take those experiences in that short amount of time and lack of leadership and really develop a program for other businesses and say, hey, just don't do this. And by the way, I took all these notes for these couple months I was there, and I have detailed notes and built an entire plan to run a business the opposite of how this place runs a company.
Well, do you do like one-on-one executive coaching too?
Absolutely. And leadership retreats to where, we'll pull you away, disconnect from screen time, get away from your office, bring in your team of 6, 8, whatever you want. And it's almost like an AHERO event. And we have one-on-one time for whatever your schedule will permit. I recommend at least 2 days, if not 3. And we spend time building a tribe and a direction to go in the right manner, to get 1% better. And really, when I talked to Williams last week, I told him, what if everybody here, the 25 managers that were there and the supervisors, what if you knew all of the things that were going on with your team physically, financially, emotionally, and spiritually? What if you knew all their struggles? What if you were helping them and they knew you cared about those things to help them get better in all 4 of those facets? Because if a stool was missing one of those 4 facets, it's going to fall over. Yeah. So what if the people that you were directly responsible for, all got better, and you knew and they knew you cared, and you were searching for things that they did right instead of searching for things they did wrong? Think about the difference that you would have for Williams and how that would spread. And if you had 6,000 employees at Williams that did that same thing and that truly looked for people doing things right, if they did things wrong, correct them, help them get through it. Don't blast them in front of people and reprimand in public. Like, That's what we got. Reprimand in private, praise in public, but really truly care about them and make them better. If it spread and Williams, 6,000 people or whatever company, everyone knows that we're doing okay and those things that you have to work on, we're going to get you through it, how successful would that business be?
Plus 100 push-ups and I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Well, the physical thing is huge too.
Yeah.
And again, I've never met anyone who is healthy or striving on those things, physically, financially, emotionally, and spiritually, that were wanting to kill themselves at the same time period.
I'm glad you brought us back to that mental health issue. You said earlier that you wrote a book, and I have a manuscript that I wrote after I quit corporate America. It's probably about 5,000 pages talking about my experience. I took an example of the Marine Corps and the closest thing that happened to me in corporate America. And it was so cathartic to sit down. And I would love for people that are going through something, if you sit down and just write it out.
Oh, yeah.
Just writing things down makes such a difference. My son, Michael, he is here. He's also been in therapy, and part of his therapy, and we're going to give you these 2 books.
That's awesome.
He wrote 2 books, okay, and it was so therapeutic.
So talented.
So therapeutic for him. One is If My Heart Could Talk, and the other one is The Shed. So
that's awesome.
We want to gift these to you, but my point is just sitting down and writing. I don't care if you probably suck as a writer, but you will get better. But just writing down your thoughts.
Yeah, journaling.
Keith, I encourage you to do that. If you haven't, just sit down and write out your thoughts, and you actually see it in writing, and it forces you, as like being a teacher, if you're a teacher, you learn whatever it is that you're doing so much better. So
That's why we have AHERO Records too, is the writing program.
exactly same thing.
Yeah, that's what
to heal
Corrado
through
talked to
music.
me. Yeah, I talked to Mike Corrado about that. So
Healing through your
we have
trauma.
one more minute left, and
Yep.
it is all yours. Tell us where they find you, all your social media, or your website, wherever you want them to connect with you.
Yeah, so it's Lee Stuckey. I'm on LinkedIn. It's also LeeStuckeyLegacy.com is for the legacy retreats and the keynote speaking engagements. AHEROUSA.org is the nonprofit, and then Hometown Hero Services is the hometown services. We also have Habitat Heroes Outdoors, which is another land management company where I call it redneck golf courses, but we help improve wildlife habitats for landowners in Alabama and the Southeast. So very blessed to be out giving the veterans and first responders a purpose and helping our community.
Perfect. This was amazing. We could talk for hours and hours. We literally were like, I know. I'm like, I'm going to have to make this like a 5-part series. So
We love you.
we love you. Good to see you. Good to sit and chat about everything you're doing. And I'll tag all the websites and everything to get in touch with Lee. And thank you all to my listeners. Thank you for listening to the Monica Sanford Show, and stay tuned for the next episode.